I love this so much. The power of the Christ frees us. So if the Christ is that power that comes to human consciousness to eradicate error, what would be the opposite of that? What would be the opposite of that? That would be some influence in human consciousness that is creating error, that is destroying truth, that is somehow a power opposite to God, to the Christ. That's the Antichrist. There is no power apart from God. So that thing that would be known as like aggressive mental suggestion or animal magnetism, which would suggest there's a power that's fighting against the Christ. The Christ is, and this is a quote from Mrs. Eddy, the one who wrote Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. The true idea voicing good, the divine message from God to men, speaking to the human consciousness. That's that quote. It's so powerful. If the Christ is the true idea, voicing good, the divine message from God to men, speaking to the human consciousness, right where we are, no matter where we find ourselves in thought, depressed, anxious, sad, out of sorts, left out, whatever it is, lonely, feeling in lack, whatever place we find ourselves, the Christ meets us there and lifts us to the true sense of us that is aligned with our true self, that is who God sees us to be. So if that's the Christ, then the Antichrist would be just the opposite. It would try to be a negative influence that's squashing truth. Well, it's like darkness can't overcome the light. It has no power to invade the light and cancel out the light. Just like the Antichrist, what would be known as a power apart from God, cannot squelch the power of God. The power of the Christ frees us. The power of God frees us from this belief that there's another power trying to get in there and wiggle away its around and like get into our thinking and claim that it has power to influence us erroneously. It can't. We can't be hypnotized. We can't be mesmerized. We can't be made to believe that there's some other power kind of creeping in on us. We've got to stand strong. God gives us dominion. I mean, it says in Revelation, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. The accuser is always trying to accuse us. There's always some negative thought coming in, it's like, it has no power. It's like, talk to the hand. No. There's this comedian, this British comedian, Sarah Mulligan. She's like, no, no, no. So that's her response. It's like, just Nancy Reagan it. Just say no. No. The suggestions that would say there's a power apart from God, there's an antichrist that's trying to come in. Does it present itself all the time? Yeah. Is it constantly attacking at the door, at the gate? Yes. But we are given dominion. The accuser is cast down by the power of God. If we're trying to do it personally, by ourselves, without putting our hand in God's, well, I mean, you might have success every now and then, but if you want to be successful and you want to put down that thought that there is some power apart from God, lean on God. The Christ is here, breaking through, cleansing our thought from any sin that would say, I'm separate from God. That's a lie. We're not separate from God. So we get to be warriors. We get to be spiritual warriors. We get to be demonstrating the Christ, demonstrating that Christly presence that Jesus did and gave us the example of. He knew he was one with God. He knew he was the divine presence of the Christ and demonstrated it and lived it and was known as the Christ, Christ Jesus, because he demonstrated the Christ truth so purely and clearly that healing was in the wake of that everywhere he went. And that is the result of the demonstration of the Christ that we are given the gift of. That the power of God is present, has always been, always will be, and is present. And we can demonstrate that by knowing our oneness with God, by knowing that the Christ ever present is uplifting our consciousness out of the lie and into the truth. The lie is wiped out by the presence of the Christ. So this is all really good stuff. I get very excited about this stuff. So that thing that is called animal magnetism or aggressive mental suggestion is just another name for the Antichrist. It's another name for this belief that there's a power apart from God, that it can sweep in and destroy truth, like as if can't, doesn't have the power to. So it's that mental battle. The accuser cannot cast down. It cannot show up and have some power and cast us down. It just can't. So claim that. Walk in the freedom of that. Put your hand in God's. Let God be the power. Don't try to do it on your own. Okay, lots of love. If you like this, share this out. As always, subscribe to this channel because, you know, the more people who subscribe, the more it'll get spread around and more people will hear the truth and more people will be free.